Goedemorgen. Welcome to you all. Welcome to the special session at the Anima International Animation Festival. A special morning. We're going to have a deep insight in Larian Studios. My name is Erik van Drunen. I'm only hosting this morning. We are welcoming three wonderful guests who give you all the insights. Please, first of all, would everyone be so kind to switch off their cell phones, which is a kind of nice and decent for the people who prepared a wonderful presentation. The animation industry and the game industry have a lot of similarities. They also have differences. And it was a nice idea of Anima to put in a game session within the context of the festival. Therefore, we discussed how many people are from the game industry in the cinema. Only a few hands. How many people are animation related? There are a lot of people with no relations. Who are gamers? Is that clear enough for you? This promises to be a wonderful morning. You might all know Divinity Original Sin, which is one of the best-known games of Larian. I keep it short. These three guys are going to do a presentation. Save your questions for the end. We will have time for Q&As at the end. We welcome here Thierry van Gijseken, Thomas Muij, and 𝗙𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗪𝗪, who will start the presentation, and we will go into the studio and the possibilities for animators in the animation industry. Please give a welcome to these wonderful guys.
Oh, this is it? Where is my... Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Edward. I'm the combat designer at Larian Studios. I make, well, all the fights. And I'd like to thank everyone for having us this morning. I'm going to start this presentation with introducing a little bit Larian Studios and telling you about what Larian is about. So this is Larian Studios in Ghent. We're more or less 40 to 50 people. It's a joyful mess. It's a very nice place to work at. The company was founded by Sven Vinke in 1996. The man has been passionate about games since he was a kid. You may have, maybe if you've played Larian games, the man is a big fan of RPGs, role-playing games. For those of us who don't really know what a role-playing game is, role-playing games are games that allow you to more or less choose what your character is going to become and how you are going to deal with situations. So you have a choice. You have a choice in how you actually play your role. So Sven is a very big fan of role-playing games, and quoting from the man himself, he's on a quest to make the role-playing game that would dwarf them all. So how is he doing this? How is he working at this? Is what I'm going to explain. We have not always been making role-playing games. We have also been making educational games, which I will introduce briefly. In 2004, we released Ketnet Kick for a Flemish TV broadcaster. Ketnet Kick allowed kids to learn more about mathematics and other things they see at school in a colorful and joyful, funny environment, and also allowed them to create their character and customize their gaming experience. We also released Adventure Rock with the same objective, and also Ketnet Kick 2 back in 2008. So yeah, I'll go quickly over these. Gullyland was for a French TV show, French broadcaster in 2009, and Monkey Tales was for the BBC. So we've been doing this as well on the side as side projects, and yeah, those were very nice successes for kids. Of course, we've been making educational game, but the franchise for which we're most known is the Divinity franchise. So I will go over some of the games of the Divinity franchise. Back in 2002, we started with Divinity, which, well, okay, it doesn't, it doesn't look like it, but which was a very, very nice looking game for its time. It had a very cool combat system and a very dense and rich world. And it features in top 100 best PC games of all times of this website, PC Gamer, which is for us, you know, quite a big deal. And in 2004, we expanded the universe with Beyond Divinity, which, well, expands on the story, on the characters, on what happens then. In 2008, we released Divinity 2 Ego Draconis, which is my personal favorite. We took the camera and brought it much closer to the action, which we made full 3D. And so resulting in a much more immersive point of view and much more action-oriented fighting. So you're like strafing, jumping, rolling on the side, killing things with your sword. This is much more action-oriented, and well, yeah, I really liked this one. In 2009, we expanded on the universe by releasing the expansion Flames of Vengeance. And in 2012, we released the whole thing again under Director's Cut Edition, which I suggest you pick up if you haven't done so. Yeah, it's my favorite. This is Divinity Dragon Commander that we released in 2013. So this game is a hybrid of a real-time strategy experience and a role-playing game. Okay, it doesn't really show here in the screenshot, but you're really actually controlling this dragon, and there's your army in the back that you're protecting, and then there is this army, the enemy army that you're fighting. So this is the real-time strategy part, and we had also a lot of, like a very deep story, a lot of interactions, political intrigue kind of thing going on. And yeah, it was a very nice success. And then finally, in 2014, we released Divinity Original Sin. For this game, we brought the camera like back to this top-down perspective that you have here, and to go to a much more like back to the roots kind of experience, kind of like classic RPG thing going on. So it was a game targeted at the niche. At a niche audience. We didn't know, most people thought that this would not work because most people would think that this was outdated, but it was not the case. We secured funding through a very successful Kickstarter that allows us to secure a little more than $1 million, and that was fantastic, which allowed us to take the game from a nice state, we had a cool game, to something really memorable. And this is, you know, what we did. So, oh, I'm sorry, there's a video. Sorry. Thank you very much. So this was Divinity Original Sin. For this presentation, however, I figured that, well, not everybody would be a gaming aficionado or like a big Larian fan or an RPG player. So I decided to deliver a presentation that would go, that would be much more back to the fundamentals of what game design is, what it is, and you know, what can you do with it, can you eat it, and everything. So game design is the following idea. It's very simple at its core, at its fundamentals. It's decide what the player is going to do. What is the player going to do in your game? What is the experience going to be about? And this question has a very simple answer. And the answer that provides you a solid base to start with is how do you win and how do you lose? How do you win at this game? Why did I lose? You need to understand that. You need to establish this. And once you've established that, well, you can move on. Winning and losing doesn't have to be final. It doesn't have to be the end of the game. Winning and losing applies to every aspect of the game. Like, for instance, I don't know, like if you step on a mine, well, it hurts, so you kind of lose a little. You kind of lost. If you like land a headshot or a critical hit, well, you kind of win. You won a little bit. So winning and losing are the two critical aspects of, and the two most fundamental aspects of game design. So game design is similar to any creative endeavor, meaning it aims at triggering an emotional response, be it, I don't know, anger, happiness, joy, fear, and so on. But what was it? I lost my thread here. But it also aims, like any creative endeavor, it aims at fulfilling a human need, a basic human need. And here, in that regard, game design is a bit special because the human need it aims at fulfilling is judgment. The judgment. The word is a bit harsh. You know, people are like, what, the judgment? Well, the word is a bit harsh. We're not talking about morality here. We're not talking about how you live your life or what kind of person you are. Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? This is really not, or are you like in phase with the law? This is not what we're talking about. To explain this, forgot my thing. To explain this, we have the pyramid, Maslow's pyramid, which is also called the hierarchy of human needs that I believe everyone has seen. The Maslow's pyramid, I should have written here somewhere. It starts with the physiology. It starts at the bottom and starts, you know, at the bottom and then goes up. So you start with breathing. Breathing is nice. It helps. And then food, water, sex for some people. You need to satisfy these needs before you can climb up, before you can go up, level up, if you allow me. And so then comes safety, security of body, freedom from harm, freedom from fear for you and your loved ones. You're climbing up the ranks. But what we are really interested in here today is self-esteem. This is this roof of the pyramid. Self-esteem. What am I? What am I made of? Am I worth something? What are my inner values? What can I achieve in life with who I am? And the real question is, how can I know who I am? How can I know what I am made of? So the need for judgment that we all have, the need for judgment, the need for someone to tell us a little bit more about who we are. So it doesn't have to be through games, of course. This is a question that I had earlier. It doesn't have to be through games, but games are a very valuable and meaningful way to find out about yourself. I think that was the. Let me tell you. let me tell you a story about my dad. My dad is a 65 years old gentleman, very nice man, very nice guy, and he likes video games, and he's not very good at video games. And at some point he picked Tomb Raider. Who's played the first Tomb Raider in 1996? You guys play that, okay? It's not a really easy game, and my dad picked that game and he started playing Tomb Raider with Lara Croft and the guns and everything. And he sucked at it. He was really bad at this game. He just kept dying and dying. And I've got the screaming yell of Lara Croft, you know, when she falls to her death. And at some point, my dad somehow beat Tomb Raider. He finished it. And he went, hey, I finished Tomb Raider. I'm like, all right. You know, of course I didn't say, well, you died 300 times. But the idea is that what message, what meaningful bit of information about himself did this achievement, this victory deliver? What did the game tell him about himself? Well, in the case of my dad, but we will have examples, but in the case of my dad, the game told him, you're not too old. You're not too old for this stuff. You still got the moves. This is youngster crap. So my dad finished Tomb Raider, and he felt rewarded by this meaningful bit of information. I'm going to provide examples. This is Counter-Strike. All right, who plays Counter-Strike? Oh, I was expecting, oh yeah, that's kind of a bit of... What does Counter-Strike tell you about yourself? If you're good at Counter-Strike says, Maybe you're good at, I don't know, spotting hidden foes because the camouflage and they blend in the environment. And how many times do you get killed because you didn't see the guy? Counter-Strike tells you that maybe you're fast enough, that you're accurate enough, that your reflexes are good enough for this game. Like, I saw the guy and bam, headshot. See you in hell. So this is really nice. I believe, and this is my personal appreciation of things, I also believe that Counter-Strike tells you if you're a patient man. I'm not a patient man, therefore I suck at Counter-Strike. I'm not a patient man, and in Counter-Strike, when you get your weapons, you're just dying to use that brand new rifle that you've bought. You're dying to go out there and kill somebody. And if you're not patient, if you don't wait, if you throw yourself into the melee, well, this is what happens, you die. So this is every time I die because I've not been patient enough in Counter-Strike because I was careless. This is what the game tells me, you're not patient enough. And this is this applies to many areas of my life, many other aspects of my life that I'm not patient. Therefore, I suck at Counter-Strike. This is StarCraft 2. Maybe a lot of people play StarCraft. No, nobody plays. Yeah, well, quite a bit of, okay, 3 people. This is StarCraft 2, which is a war game, as you call it, an RTS, real-time strategy. What does this situation tell you? This situation asks, how good are you at resisting panic? How good are you at managing your troops under, you know, a cold-bloodedly, you know, at keeping cool? Yeah, this is what I was looking for. How good are you at keeping cool? If you're the red guy there, what are you going to do? Are you going to like fight back? Are you going to be like, I am not dying like that? Are you going to fight back? Or are you going to like throw the mouse, quit the game, be a leaver, you know, and stop playing? So this is really a question of how well do you respond to pressure? If you're good at this game, chances are that in other areas of your life, you respond well to pressure and to, you know, adversity. This is Divinity Original Sin, which I believe I've mentioned. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit what the interface, the UI, shows us here. So you see at the bottom of the screen there's this little tiny balls that we've got. These are action points. I'm explaining this because I will use it later. These are action points. You need these to accomplish actions. For instance, I don't know, drinking a potion is 3 action points, casting a spell can be 5 action points, moving around also uses action points. So it's all about choice, all about what are you going to do with your action points. And this is a turn-based game, meaning that when a combat starts, when a fight starts, it's going to be your turn, and then when you're out of action points, it's not your turn anymore, it's the enemy's turn. And so on, and then it's going to be your turn again in a couple, you know, I don't know, minutes or so. This is how it goes. I will use this later. Here in this fight, we've got the 2 green guys there. I don't know if you can see them. The 2 green guys there, and there's the purple guy. By the way, this is not in the game yet. So if you've played DOS and if you're like, huh, this is not how it goes, this is not in the game yet. It's a bit of a surprise for later. So yeah, the 2 green guys aim at keeping the purple guy invulnerable. So he'd never. Well, he's invulnerable. What are you going to do? Are you like going to kill the green guys first? Are you get rid of them, take the time to destroy them so they're never a bother again? Or are you going to just, you know, silence them, make them unable to cast, make them unable to make the other guy invulnerable? What are you going to do? What are your priorities? How well do you sort out priorities? What is going to be your choice here? And this is what it asks. Are you good at, you know, making decisions? Are you good at solving this puzzle? DOS has this every fight is a puzzle. I will give some more examples later. Every fight is a puzzle, and it's got this amazing, you know, ability at when you solve the puzzle, when you win without having half of your team slaughtered, it makes you feel smart. So to do this, we create trials, we create challenges. A game is really this. It's a succession of challenges. Sorry, give me a minute, because I kind of forgot what I wanted to say here. Yeah. What did I write here? I can read this thing. Okay. So a succession of challenges and trials. Oops, sorry. But yeah, quickly, what is a game? So what makes a game? What is the definition of a game? What is it? We don't really have time to go over the philosophy, so I'll just break it open for you. A game is a problem approached with a playful attitude. As its core, a game is a problem. Like, oh oh God, how am I going to, I don't know, open this door, defuse the bomb? It can be a save the princess, can be anything. Approach with a playful attitude, meaning that these challenges that make the game are problems, but they gotta be fun problems. Not like, I don't know, figuring out how to pay your taxes or washing the dishes. Washing the dishes is a very boring problem. But if you approach the boring problem with a playful attitude, like, I don't know, washing the dishes under 30 seconds, then when you solve this problem, you will get a meaningful bit of information about yourself. Okay, in the case of washing the dishes under 30 seconds, the bit of information is not very meaningful because, well, maybe you're really good at washing the dishes, but maybe the bit of information that you get from this is that you're really good at turning a problem into a game, which you can maybe apply to other areas of your life. You will say, and you will be right, that every problem delivers this bit of information about who you are and what you're made of. But games do this for fun. Games entertain you, you know, in the meanwhile. And when you beat the game, when you finish the game, more about that later, when you finish the game, well, not only did it deliver a meaningful bit of information about yourself, but it was also fun. Hopefully. A couple practical examples from Divinity Original Sin. So yeah, well, yeah, that's the game I'm working on. So I'm, you know, showing screenshots of the game I'm working on. This is the sea spider. Okay, the sea spider is this big creature there. We call it the sea spider because, well, it's on the sea. I mean, like on the beach, I'm sorry, it's on the beach. And there's the green bits that you see there are actually the sea. This fight looks complex, but actually it's not. The sea spider is huge, it's really big. So with the animation team, with Thierry here, we decided that the sea spider would not move around, it would not run around, because it would look messy, it would collide with the walls, it would collide with the players, and it would look like a mess. So we made it still, we made it immobile, like a turret, like a tank that doesn't move. So the sea spider, being immobile, being unable to move, needs to do something. So it's got the sea, and it's going to actually suck water from the sea, draw water from the sea, using 4 channels that are evidently not on the screenshot. So you have to imagine 4 corridors of water that is going to create 1, 2, 3, 4. And when she does that, she is building up a super attack, kind of water attack thing, and she will spit the water at the players, killing them. It deals a lot of damage. So what does the player do? The first thing the player does is stay away, like be in that dark, around the torch on the left. But if you do that, the spider will ask the tiny spiders that you see there to attack him, to attack the player. Sorry, it's getting a bit, I'm trying to. And so what I'm saying is that if you do this, it's not going to work. If you stand close to the spider, it's going to spit the water at you, and you're going to die as well. But if you're observant, if you're able to make deductions and apply them in a practical manner, maybe you will notice that the channels of water can be interrupted. Maybe you can stand there and interrupt the channels of water. If you do that, the spider is completely unable to draw any water. You've solved the puzzle. The problem has found its solution, and you win, because the spider is not able to do anything. She's going to try to bite you, but... So, this really rewards, being observant, and this deliver a meaningful bit of information about you, which is, well, you're a good observer, you're making smart deductions, and more importantly, you trust your deductions well enough to apply them in a practical manner. So this is the little bit of information that, according to me, this fight delivers. This is the Nemesis demon, the yellow guy over there. And the Nemesis demon has this cool power, and it's got these tiny dogs there, they're like fire dogs, burning dogs, whatever. And the Nemesis demon will choose one of your guys and plant a bomb on them, like Counter-Strike style, like a bomb has been planted. And as you can see, this is, okay, maybe it's a bit tiny, but the guy in the face and, yeah. And in the bottom, the bald guy has got the bomb there, whatever. The bomb will explode when it's your turn again. So after one turn, the bomb explodes, thus killing you. You will die. If you're standing near your allies, they will die as well. If you're standing near the dogs, they will heal them. So it's just bad. It's really bad. And now, with the given amount of action points that you have, what are you going to do? Are you going to run to the golden circle there to defuse the bomb? Because this is how it works. You have to run into the golden circle to get the bomb removed from you. Or are you going to, I don't know, heal your friends, resurrect your friends? But you will die. Are you going to sacrifice for the group? Or are you going to attack the demon? What are your choices? What are your priorities? Are you good at sorting priorities here? Can you sacrifice for, you know, can you take one for the team? And this fight tells you a little bit about yourself in that regard. Can you take one for the team? One final example, and I believe is the most meaningful of them all, is the Sparkmaster. This is a robot. If you've played this in DOS, it's been completely remade, but it's a surprise, so don't tell anyone about it. The Sparkmaster, the big robot, the big blue head there, is a weak point, is lightning. If you attack him with lightning, you will damage him like super fast. It will hurt him really bad. But it will also charge him with lightning. And when the Sparkmaster has his batteries charged, is able to unleash a super cool attack that destroys completely, you know, everyone on the battlefield. Basically, you lose. What are you going to do? Are you going to attack him on his weak point, risking that everybody dies? Or are you going to be patient? Are you going to try to attack him, I don't know, with a sword or a bow? It's going to take 45 minutes, but at least nobody gets hurt. What are you going to do? Can you discuss this with your friends when you're cooperative mode? Can you be wise enough? Can you be patient enough? And this fight delivers this bit of truth about you. In the end, when you're designing challenges, when you're designing combat, you have to be fair. If you're not fair, nobody will want your judgment. The judgment will feel unneeded. It will be forced. It will feel forced. For instance, being fair not only means that the fight must not be too hard, because like if the fight is too hard, people will feel like the fight, I'm saying the fight, but it can be the game, it can be any interactive experience. The fight is too hard and people feel like, well, this judgment is not for me. This is too hard. Of course I cannot do that. This doesn't apply to me. They will refuse your judgment. The judgment that you will provide will be one they don't want. But being fair also means that if you're providing an experience that is too easy, they will not want your judgment either, because they will feel, yeah, I think it can be summed up in a very simple sentence: anybody could do this. My sister could play this game. Of course I can do this. And they will not want your judgment. My dad could do this, you know? Moving on. Okay, all right, this looks a bit, but yeah, this is his real name. This is the curve of Csikszentmihalyi. You can say it like that. And Csikszentmihalyi, don't mock him, is a genius. And he coined the term flow, which I'm going to explain in a bit. On the left, you see the challenge. And on the bottom, there is the skills. The higher the challenge, obviously, the better the skills you have to deploy to face that challenge, to rise up to it. If the challenge is too hard, but your skill is too low, it's too hard. The game is too hard. Judgment is not valid, because this is not for me, I'm just there. If the skills are too high, but the challenge is too low, it's too easy. And we don't want that, because people will feel that the judgment, again, is worthless. The idea is to keep the player in that flow channel that's there. The flow channel, before anybody says anything, the flow channel was invented to show the attention span of the player. Like, if you're in the flow channel, meaning if the challenges are adequate to the skills of the player will be focused. He will stay in the flow. He will be interested in the experience and not, you know, think about anything else. But here, the flow channel, at the end of the flow channel, there is our judgment. A judgment that the player will want, because the challenge that you offered him was really tailored for him. You tailor challenges for people. And at the end of that challenge, at the end of the flow, there is the judgment that tells you a little bit more about yourself, that kind of answers the question, who are you? Victory is at the end, well, you won, it said you killed my monsters, you must be feeling really smart. I'm a bit sad because you killed my monsters. Victory is the moment where you get what you came for. People feel like I've beaten the game, the reward, you know, I got the gold, I got the experience, I leveled up, I saved the princess, whatever, but the actual reward of a game, why you are playing a game, is to test yourself. And in that regard, games are very similar to any activity that allow you to test yourself, like, you know, I don't know, racing, are you fast enough? Bungee jump, are you brave enough? You know, pie eating contest, are you enough of a glutton, I guess? And so on. Victory is here, and this reward, the reward that you really wanted, is the judgment, is the, am I good at this? Am I good at that? Am I fast enough? Are my reflexes good enough? Am I smart enough? And yeah, victory. So with this, I will end my turn of the presentation, and Yes, I wanted to say that. So I make the fights, I design the fights, but I don't make the creatures, I don't draw them, I don't animate them. Who does that is Thierry and Thierry's team. And I will now give him the mic so he can tell you a little more about his job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edward. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I am Thierry. I'm the lead animator of Larian Studios. So my job is to manage and direct the animations and my team at Larian. So I'll be talking about game animation and what it actually means to be animating for a game. So what is game animations? I think game animations can be considered as a discipline on its own. That's what I usually tell people when they ask how it actually is, how much it's different from the classic animations. It's actually game animations. They focus on different aspects of its audience. Also, the process of making them is quite a bit different, that it actually makes a different ball game. So what actually defines game animations? So first of all, it's interaction. The most important part of a game is to interact with characters and environments. So that means that when a gamer picks up a game, he's in control of the leading characters, but also of the interaction he does with any secondary or additional characters within the game. Now, I just lost my thread. Because we give control to the player, this does also mean that it's a big impact on how your game animations have to be. First of all, the animations have to be responsive. So to whatever input that the player gets, walking forward, shooting, fighting, the animations has to translate this, has to make the message come across. And it also requires very reactive animations. These are often like short animations that have a lot of punch. So to illustrate this, I have brought an example of our game Dragon Commander, where I will show some footage from dragon gameplay. So do pay attention to the dragon, and not as much as the effects or the background. Okay, so how was this actually made? So how is this put together? First of all, we begin with short direction animation. So every direction that the dragon can fly at, we make a short animation for it. In this case, that was very three-dimensional. So going up, going down, forward, backwards, left, and all the directions in between. I've brought a couple of examples for this. So this is an animated GIF from our dragon flying forward. So this is one from the dragon flying backwards. One of his side flights, sideways flights. And the last one is an animation when he's diving or when he's boosting with his jetpack. Now, the second puzzle pieces we need are transition animations. So we actually need an animation that transitions between all the different directions. So these are meant to make the blend between the different directions a lot more smoother. So I have also a couple of examples. So here you see the dragon going from backwards to forwards flight. And this one, he bangs from right to left. So these are all very small reactive animations that all come together in the engine of the game to give a very responsive feel to the controller input of the player. So you might ask, is game animations all about animating cycles? Well, truthfully, it kind of is. I noticed when I talked to a lot of people, young people, aspiring animators, that they are kind of turned off by the idea of doing like cycles all day, or they don't find it interesting. But allow me to put a positive spotlight on it, why it actually is that we create these cycles and what it makes it interesting to work with it. So the first, I call these, the things that I will summarize now, I call these doors. We have 3 doors. So the first door is states and systems. Now, through states and systems, we allow the game character, to act according to a set of parameters defined in our engine. And these states and systems actually tell something about the state, the emotional state, or the situation where the character is in. For example, this can be a character feeling happy, angry, sad. That can even be a character sitting down on a chair, laying down on a bed, or just simple stand up. All right, I have also brought an example for this one, also from Dragon Commander. I've brought a character Edmund, so this one will illustrate what we actually did here. So these are just body gestures, just as much like we did for the dragon, short animations.
And there we have it, I suppose. The dragon son of a monarch deposed. Rightful heir to the throne, even if he was born out of wedlock. No doubt that boor of a Henry has already introduced me in his ever-elegant way. So here I am, Lord Edmund Augustus III, Duke of Hawknest Hall. I'd add at your service, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
So this is actually the same technique we did for the dragon, but we added something extra to it. We blended on top of all the body animations, also face animations, and those face animations were motion captured inside of the sound booth with the voice actors themselves, and all that data gets systematically cleaned and processed until it ends up in our engine. So there was no monkey work, there was no sweatshop labor. It was all systematically processed. I've made a little compilation video that shows a bit of the results for all different characters and what we did in the sound studio.
So we are ready to go?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm ready when you're ready.
Well, I figured that between me and the prissy brigade that Catherine and Edmund form, someone a bit more down to earth will be a welcome addition to the group.
Commander, or should I say chauvinist-in-chief, I am here to inform you that even though you may not value a lady's quality of life as highly as that of a man, for so you have demonstrated via the salary snub debacle.
Let us pray to the Seven, it will not emerge stillborn.
Death winks and beckons. Am I to be its concubine?
He tried to run, but he failed, and they slew him where he stood. Now the realm has been shattered, and vultures are picking what they can from its corpse by means of new and terrifying war machines. I'd say all is lost, but Maxos insists you are to be the one, the hero who will take back the land we've lost. Excuse me if I laugh in derision.
Excellent.
That's another good laugh.
Yep.
I have not half the time hence it takes my hourglass to void its life. Parlayed with an imp of wise and cryptic nature, a shaman widely idolized among his kind.
Those damn locusts are a menace. You'd risk a famine for a bunch of vermin. No, you gas them well and proper.
Oh, before I forget, The celebration is tonight, so seeing that the invitation reads +1 and my sister turns out to be unavailable, perhaps you'd like to accompany me. Do take a bath first, though. You still reek of burned flesh and jet engine oil.
That is quite a tale, my friend, so bear with me.
Half of the foes we kill are shot or stabbed in the back, Commander. They're on the run, all right. Bunch of cowards.
What a sorry excuse for a general Henry is. Drunk as a dwarf again, going on and on about his lost arm. The more liquor disappears down his throat, the more he can still feel it. Wish he had a phantom tongue instead of a phantom limb. The place would be so much quieter.
What a character that Edmund is. Did you hear, Commander? Kapow, right in the kisser. Sure showed that old fart of a shaman, didn't he?
If the dwarves are to be believed, Commander, and they better had be, the long goodbye has said its last farewell. Those bemoustached midgets were exposed for the mean little murderers of women they are. On this ship, however, I find myself trapped amid so many cocks of the walk, the one more swollen with self-importance than the next, only to discover these pompous windbags actually earn more wages than Scarlet, Prospera, or I do.
Every last morsel of melancholy melts away. The throes of torment thaw and evanesce. We shall always be together. Always.
Just double check.
That's a wrap.
Yep. Beautiful.
Yep.
All right. So the second door I'll be talking about is when you take these states and systems, like you just saw in the video, and you attach them to a program or a script, then you actually create behaviors. You create an environment where characters can behave according to the program or the script. And as an animator, you actually have to take a mindset where you say that when you act out more a behavior than you actually act out towards a scene or a certain shot. So you're thinking more in the line of the entire character. How would he behave when he's on the ship, like the characters you just saw? I also brought another example from Original Sin this time. I brought George. So George is a sheep, and here you see George in his most basic of animations. His we call it a still animation, and he's just breathing. He's doing his most simple function that there is breathing, staying alive. But yeah, that gets boring. So we need to give some other animations to George. So if George is bored, George makes barrel rolls. However, how joyful this might be, it's still very stationary, and this will not bring George very far. Additionally to that, we gave George a walk animation. So now George can go find some friends to play with and have a good time. So here's George with some friends. Oh. Well, you know what they say, it's always fun and games until someone dies, right? The third tour I will be talking about is the organic process. It's a term that you might hear a lot in the games industry. It's because you work with such a team and there's a lot of creativity that things grow naturally. So Edward might have an idea, our CEO might have an idea, even my animators bring ideas, and then we can discuss if it's a good idea or not. So this makes characters grow. That means that they are not always starting out as a character that they were originally designed for. In the case of George, George can be just like a sheep at some unnamed farm, but someone like Edward can say, hey, let's take George and make a boss out of him. So then we suddenly need to come up with a set of animations that will provide George with an interesting boss fight mechanic and animations that correspond with that. So these 3 doors, if you go through those doors and take a moment to think back about it, you realize something very important, is that in making games in game animation land, you work towards a world. You actually build towards a world with your colleagues instead of building towards a storyboard, a single scene or a single shot that was assigned to you by your director. I feel it's a bit less set within boundaries and more open to explore. So it is world building that you are working towards. So as an animator, you have to realize something very important. If you create an animation, it's gonna be in in modern days like these, it's gonna be in a 3D environment. And when it's in a 3D environment, you have to realize that your player will be walking amongst your animations. So that means every animation has to look really good in a 3D perspective, from every angle, top, down, sideways. It will be judged by millions of players, and there's no room to say like, okay, I'll play a bit with perspective because this will make the layout come out better, or I'll break my model a little bit because it makes the pose more interesting. No, you have to be really careful that the whole pose of your character stands solid on its own from every angle that the player can watch at. Now all of this, all the interaction, the animation cycles and the world building, that can be condensed into one single definition, what I think is a good definition to explain what game animations is all about. And what is game animations? It is the visualization of an interactive system confined to a digital world and existence. So I'll say this again. So animating for a game is the visualization of an interactive system confined to a digital world and existence. I think as an animator, and probably all of you here can agree that when you try to animate, all you want to do is make a character come alive, to be something that the audience can relate to and feel good about. And that's actually also the same for games. You create games that truly come alive, in this case in a 3D world, in a digital world. But does that mean that in the game industry there's no room for cutscenes or deep storytelling or some epic cinema? Well, there is still room for that, but I'll let Thomas talk more about that. So here's Thomas.
Okay, so thank you, Cherry. Okay, so hi, I'm Thomas. I am the editor slash director slash producer. Well, yeah, I'm also the cameraman at Larian. I basically do all that. And I wanted to start with this budget versus quality statement, because we're not a huge studio like say Ubisoft that can hire a super fancy studio that does CGI cutscenes with fancy 3D animations and all that. We don't have the budget for that, but we can do some other things that because we can be creative. And I wanted to start with this because this is David, and this was for a video where he had like an inner monologue with himself. There was the devil on his shoulder and an angel on his shoulder, and so we had to have these floating heads flying around him. And well, we're not a video production company, we're a video game company, so we don't have like, you know, a good green screen and fancy lighting and all that. So what we did here was just place 2 green beanbags on top of each other and then have Davidson in front of that. And it's cheap, but it works. It may not be perfect, but for us it works. And it's kind of the same with these cutscenes. They are not super fancy Assassin's Creed cutscenes you have, but they work for us because they can tell a story, and this is how we do it. All right, so we do this with 2D animated paintings, meaning we have the artists who will paint these paintings, and they will do it in layers. So they can send those layers to me, and I can animate them accordingly with cameras and and all kinds of animations. But it also gives us some flexibility, because an RPG, it comes together at the end of the development, basically 2-3 months before the game is shipped, is released. Everything then comes together, and so the things like story and characters, that's when you can really see the arch and see how everything flows well together. And so in these last months, this is actually when we actually start making these cutscenes, I think a month or 2 months before release, so it's a short notice. But in these final months, there can be still some adjustments, so we might have to take a part from this cutscene and put it into another cutscene, or have an extra line because something needs to be explained a bit more in the story. And with these animated paintings, we can do that because we have all the control, and it goes pretty fast. So let me tell you a little bit about the workflow that we have for this. Well, it says storyboard here, but I should have put another slide on it for the writers, because they write the whole storyboard first. They will just give all the lines for the narrators and for the characters that talk in the cutscenes, if those are there. And then we throw it to a storyboard. We give it to the artist. They will make these panels that we have here. This is for the intro cutscene of Dragon Commander, and this is we went for a style that was because again we didn't have much time, and we had this like kind of all projector kind of style with shadow puppets playing in front of them. But for the intro cutscene of Original Sin, it was much more painted, hand-painted, really shaded art style. And then the other cutscenes in Original Sin are again a kind of a different style, but that all works because we have these because we just have these paintings, and as long as the way they work, and if they give me the same layers, I can just animate them, and yeah, that works. So this is just a basic setup. When we get these panels, I throw them on a timeline. This is in Final Cut, where we get the video on top and the audio on the bottom. And so we get all these panels, these just still frames, and we throw some music under it, just add some atmosphere, and then we have, in this case, David, who you saw earlier, who's also a very brilliant voice actor, actually. And he will just say these lines, and it'll give us a sense of timing, so I can see how long a shot needs to be animated, how much work that needs to be in there. And let me just show you what that looks like in a video.
Oi, Master Swords Hunters. The captain wants to speak to you lot. Don't let him wait too long. You know how he gets. Feeling rested? It's not easy for land rats to sleep on a rocking boat, eh? So you're here to investigate that murder? Some nasty business from what I've heard. Lots of blood, nothing natural about it. Captain, sir, the Swords Hunters are here.
Good morning, lads. We arrived at Sicile. There seems to be a problem, though. Here, take a look. There are some enemy ships blocking our passage. We cannot approach the harbor without being spotted. The sun's about to set. We'll have to act fast. We'll drop you off on the beach, a bit east of Sicile. Good luck, and may the 7 gods watch over you.
Pretty basic, so you have these panels one after the other, a little bit of sound effects to give it a bit of a good atmosphere to, see what it will look like or sound like in the end. So once that is done, I'll get all the files, get these Photoshop files from our artist, and we throw it into my animating software, After Effects, which you might have heard of. So the fun thing about these 2D animated paintings in After Effects is that you can still get a sense of depth, because you see these layers that get placed in 3D space here. And so with this, we can have some camera pans and zooms, which actually give it some depth, which is nice, because otherwise it would just be too flat. But this helps us a lot. And from there on out, it's adding basic animations. So these are camera pans and have the characters come in and just pretty rough. It's just to see if it will work. So we have the audio again on the bottom. We get this one shot, and then I just start animating over that. It's pretty rough. But once that is done, for every shot, I again put it on the timeline, and then just to see if everything flows well together. If there's no contradicting camera axis colliding, going from one shot to the other, and see if the timing is right. And so let me just show you what that looks like for the intro scene of Dragon Commander.
Sigurd I forged the Empire of the Light using unprecedented military technology. His rule was unique, as during his lifetime there was but peace. But war returned when Sigurd was murdered. The empire collapsed and destruction reached unseen heights. Desperate, the wizard Maxos sought out the help of the emperor's bastard, a dragon knight. To aid the Dragon Knight, Maxos delivered to him the imperial capital ship known as the Raven. This is the story of Maxos and the Dragon Knight. This is the story of the Dragon Commander.
So as you can see, this is all still pretty rough. The visuals are rough. The animation is kind of rough, but that's okay, because once they are done with their when the artists are done with their actual drawings and actual paintings, we can just replace these files, and it will also be replaced in the animating software, and so we can just render it out like that. So once we have this rough animation, I'll go back to the animation, and I'll start refining them, make them smooth, and add some details which make everything look sparkly. So like say you have the top right corner there, you have the dragon, and he's getting caught by these chains. So these chains, they latch onto him, and you have particles flying out of them. Makes it really dynamic. And so the bottom right here, it's a very static shot actually, because it's just these two characters standing there fading, and we have the camera zooming in. And yeah, what we do is just add some like particle leaves that fall from the trees, and have some birds in the background that fly over, just to give a little bit more dynamic to it. Same with the bottom left, when everything is set up and it shoots out of the sky, we have a little flag waving in the wind, just to give it a little bit more, like it's a real life. And then the top left is something we did, something special with actually, because it's the one only for the intro cutscene of Original Sin that we did this. Is because it's a very calm intro scene, which is good because it sets a mood. But it was getting kind of static, because you have these close-ups of these characters who are just in there in the frame, and it looked kind of too static. So what we did was we sent over these panels to one of Jerry's animators, Joel, and so he put them in 3D Max actually, in his 3D software, added bones to the face, and animated the eyes and the cheeks, and lip synced all the voices to his face, and that gave a lot of dynamic. And I'll show you that in a little bit. And so once we have all that, we throw it again back on the timeline. We just add all these panels, and just make sure that everything works well. We also get the final voiceover, because David is good, but we have to have professional voice actors for this. So we then replace the voice, make sure the timing is right, because they might speak a little faster, a little slower, have to edit a little bit, and add a little bit more sound effects and all that. But these are not final, because then we send it to the sound engineer, because there needs to be a good mastering of the audio. It's mastered for surround sound, and he does some really sparkly effects. And so yeah, so this is his setup, and he does all kind of magic things that I can do. So yeah, let me just show you then what it looks like for original sin first.
Rise and shine, Master Source Hunters. The cam wants you up on deck. Hear them gulls? Means we're close to shore. I don't ever you go in there, Master Source Hunters. City's full of undead, hungry enough for blood. But you're supposed to investigate that murder, ain't you? They say it's Source that did the Counselor in. Source in a city like Sicil, nowhere safe anymore. Here they are, Captain Sir.
God's blessings on you, hunters. You'll be happy to hear we've reached Sicil. But there's trouble offshore, so we'll have to sail in carefully. Here, have a look. Those are orc ships, and they're blocking our passage. We'll get you as close to the city as we can, and drop you off on the beach. Be wary now. Orcs are on the attack. Undead have closed every route out, and there's a sorcerer on the loose. If we're to get justice for the Counselor, you'll have to keep your wits about you. May the luck of the gods be with you both, Source Hunters.
Thank you, thank you. And then the game starts basically. So let me just now show you the intro cutscene for Giant Commander as well, because it has some improvements as well.
Thousands of years ago, Sigurd I built incredible engines of war, and with them forged an empire. The emperor married and sired many children. He even had a love child with mysterious Aurora, an ancient dragon in a woman's guise. Once united, peace was declared in Rivellon, and bloodshed soon forgotten. But Sigurd's realm of peace was shattered when his own sons and daughters rose against him. War returned with a vengeance, and annihilation reached new heights. Desperate to safeguard Sigurd's legacy, the wizard Maxos sought the help of the one child that never betrayed his father, Sigurd and Aurora's son, the half-dragon prince. He would be the one to save the empire from ruin, and to aid him in his quest, Maxos delivered unto him the imperial command ship known as the Raven. This is the story of Maxos and the dragon. This is the story of the Dragon Commander.
Thank you. So there we go. But that's not the only thing that I do, because, like I said, these things take 1 or 2 months. And so I have other job as well, which is making trailers and other videos. And I just wanted to put a light on that as well, because it's a big part of my job. Let me just go to the first slide here. So I just wanted to, again, go over this little workflow that we have, which is, first we start with a brainstorm. It's just me and Sven, the boss, who's also our creative director. So, and then the writers as well. We just sit together and we think about what do we want to do for this trailer. Because we want to send some kind of subject for it. We have, we could either talk about a lot of features, or do we want to talk about visuals? Do we want to show, how great the environments look? Do we want to show the combat, show the dialogues, and all that? And so from there, we just make a little script. It's not normally this extensive, but because trailers have to be quite, how do you say? Yeah, they have to be. They're pretty short. They're about like 1 to 1.5 minutes, because people's expansion span is just not that long. And so we have really short trailers like that. But so the script is basically, we have keywords and then we have supporting visuals. And that's because yeah, we just it has to be dynamic, has to be flashy, but we also want to sell the game basically. So we have a little script for that, and then it's basically capturing these beauty shots, which is it's not an easy thing. You would think like, oh, you have a beautiful looking game, it must be easy, but no, because we start making these trailers, I don't know, like halfway through development, a couple of months before development and stuff, before the end of the game. Because sorry, this is why I'm behind the camera. I'm better, and I'm just not in front of people. This is when we capture these shots, but it's not easy because there's still a lot of bugs and glitches, and not all the characters do what they should be doing, and so we also have to sometimes like manipulate a little bit so it would look good, and it can take several takes before we get the right shots. And yeah, as we have in these trailers, it's yeah, we have like, I don't know, 25 shots maybe, so it can take a while. But once we have that, we start editing everything together. I'm just going to show you like a little timeline here as well for the trailer you saw earlier. So again, audio on the bottom, the video on top, and so you see very, very short shots, and with some flashy title animations over it. And yeah, so these shots, we can't have like 3 shots of the same region after each other, because that would make the people think like, oh, this game is just like in this one area. It really has to be very contrast rich, very vibrant. Everything has to look like it's set in a different world, because this game is really huge. It's an 80-hour game, really. I don't know, has anyone played here, Original Sin? That's okay. So you might know that you have a lot of areas, and it's yeah, there's a lot to go through, and we really want to show that because there's really a lot of content. Right, but then, yeah, this is, so I say you have a first cut, but we have to iterate and repeat over it, because it's actually something we do a lot at Larian, not just videos, but for the game as well, for the designer, animator, quest designers, programmers even, because they have to, we take something and then we want to polish it and make it better, add more content, and just until it really feels right. And we try to do this as much as we can just to get it right, and it's the same with these videos. It can take until like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 versions until we really get it right. But once that is done, again, we will go to the sound engineer, and he will add some sound to it, just to make it really pop and yeah, master it very well. And so we have a little premiere for you guys. It's still for the same game, but it's called our Game of the Year trailer, because this year, we won the PC Game of the Year award from Gamespot, which is one of the biggest gaming websites on the planet. And we wanted to show that and a whole bunch of other awards that we got, just so people who are still on the fence, or even new players, to get them to maybe buy the game. So this is a little bit still work in progress, but it's very nearly there. So have a look. So yeah, the message here was pretty clear. This game is good. Go buy it. But so these press videos, these press trailers that we send out, they're not the only thing that gets us attention. It's also these update videos that we did, that we still do. Now we do them once every few months, maybe every few weeks. It's kind of, we can't show too much now, we can't talk too much, because everything is still in development, so it's, yeah, we can't do them so often anymore. But we used to do them a lot, which started with the Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is this crowdfunding website that Edward talked about earlier. And so, yeah, we went there with the idea of, we have already a very good product, or a good product, but we really want to make it awesome. But therefore, we need a little bit more budget. And so Kickstarter is a campaign that runs for us it was 30 days, and it was a very intensive period for us, because every day we did an update. And so with every update came an update video as well. So every day we wanted to talk a little bit about something. We wanted to show off exploration, or we want to talk about iteration, or the lore, or we had even our composer who did a live concert. And so all these things, yeah, we wanted to show them every day, because we wanted to create some hype and make people talk about this game a lot. But it's a lot of work, because let me just go to the next slide first. Yeah, so the biggest challenge in this thing is actually, this is a little joke here, because I wanted to say that we have Sven and David here who will do these update videos, and they want to make it spontaneous, because you want to know what you're like, make sure that you can show that you know what you're talking about. But so he wants to do it spontaneously, but it doesn't always work that way, and so we can have 40, 50 takes of Sven going, "Hi everybody, from here." So it can really get tiring. So these days it can get pretty long. But the actual biggest challenge is trying to show a lot of content, but not show too much, because we want to intrigue the players, but we also don't want to give away too much, because RPG players are known to be very, how do you say this? They want to, yeah, they just want to explore everything themselves. They want to find the lore, find all the little books and read everything. They want to see all the environments for themselves for the first time, because that's what gets them excited, because everything you go through around the corner and there's something new and exciting again. And so we want to find the right balance between teasing and not spoiling too much. So that's the biggest challenge in these things. But so they can get pretty long these days, because we have to brainstorm. In the morning we started brainstorming, and then we start recording, which can take 50, 60 takes with Sven sometimes. But that's not the only part. It's also getting then the right footage. But this was really when the game was heavily in development, and so again, the game didn't always work as we intended. But it was also, yeah, for the Kickstarter, we also tried to add some new parts in there, some stuff that maybe wasn't quite done yet, but we then had an artist who would quickly try to fix it so it would work in the game, and then we had to capture it. And yeah, so these days can really, it could be like, yeah, until 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning where we be working. But I don't want to complain too much, because they were also kind of, it's kind of cheesy, but they were really one of the best days that I worked there, because we had this core team of Kickstarter people, and of course the whole team was there, and everyone was super excited, because we saw this counter going up every day. We had this goal for, I think, 400,000, and then I think after a week we actually got that goal. But yeah, we had the stretch goals, and we eventually reached 1 million. So it was amazing to see this amount of money go up, and see these amount of backers as well, because we really got a big amount of people who were actually just waiting for these updates to come. They were getting used to these updates. We have this little Kickstarter update song that people were singing and typing in the lyrics and the comments. It was crazy to see. So yeah, that was a really big reward for us, because not only we really got our funding goal, but it felt really good to do these things. And for me especially, because I make these videos and then I put them online late at night, and then in the morning I get up and I go to work, and we read these comments, and you see all these people being super excited and being super, yeah, they are so excited, they pledge even more money, and it's just great. That's, for me, it's a personal reward, but I don't want to take away too much credit because I basically just show off the team's work. But it's really great to see this. This is what got me going for these 30 days of really intense labor, but it was really fun because you just get this really positive response. And it also led to a big expansion of our community, because these people were the ones who were getting hyped every day, but they would start spreading the word. They would start talking to their friends. They would go on the forums, and they would really get super excited, and because it's not coming from us, it's coming from the actual players, that what we're doing there is something good. That meant a lot. And it's also, even in beta and alpha testing, we had 20,000 people who tested our game for us. Well, at least the first region of the area, but it was a lot of testing that went there. Normally you have a QA team of, I don't know, for us, we have 2 QA people who test the game constantly, but if you have 20,000 people who give feedback on your game, it's so much more. Okay, you can't take all the feedback into account because it's just too much, but if you filter out the good things, then yeah, it just made the game a lot better. And I want to end with some personal touches that I got to do, but it's not just me who gets to do personal touches. Like Cherry mentioned earlier, everyone at Larian, it's pretty organic. So like our combat designer, he can make his combats the way he likes it, and we have a quest designer who can say, I'll make this character kind of more like this, and we'll have the quests be this thing because that's something I remember from playing that game. Or so everyone can have their own little thing. You know, the sheep doing the barrel roll. I don't think that was in the actual script of the game. That's something that the person itself came up with, and I can do these things as well sometimes. And say for the first example I want to show is in one of our update videos we had a long list of statuses that got added to the game, and so it may sound kind of boring. So statuses are like the character is burning, or he's poisoned, or it rains on him and he's wet. And so there's a long list of them, and this is how we dealt with that. If it will start.
Hi guys, welcome to another Larian Studios Kickstarter update. Sven's not here today, so I'll be actually doing the presenting today. He's in France, in Paris, actually presenting the game to the French press. Also, we added a ton of new statuses. You can call it the status bonanza. We've got crippled, warm, chilled, bruised, burning. We got slow, we got haste, we got repair in there, infectious disease, weakened, petrified, fortified, blind, wet, bleeding, drunk as well. Rock and roll, baby, rock and roll.
It's kind of silly, but I mean, it's just this. I just do this, and I go, "Hey Sven, is this okay?" He's just, "Yeah, sure." And it's up in the air. I mean, you couldn't do this at Ubisoft and be like, "Hey, can I just make a little rap out of it?" They wouldn't allow it. So that's really fun about working at Larian. You get to do your own little stuff, and if it's good, it's good. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is we had this 2 months after release, we released these these 2 new companions in the game. And so it's free DLC basically, and these are 2 new characters that we just gave the community. And at the time there was a campaign running for Super Smash Brothers. I don't know if anyone here plays Super Smash Brothers. That's right. That's because it's a very good game. You should. If you don't, just play it now. So yeah, and so I was getting really hyped about this campaign because they had this really special way of announcing characters. People were always waiting for the new characters to be announced. And I was one of them, just waiting for it, just super hyped. And they have a very recognizable way of announcing their characters. And so when we had to announce our new characters, I took a little reference from that, and I put it in one of the update videos.
So we just released a piece of new additional content, which is called The Bear and the Burglar, and that has a very good reason, because the bear refers to Bear Daughter, one of the new companions, and the burglar refers to Voudraient, who is the other new companion.
All right, so you might, those who don't know it, it doesn't look so special, but those who recognize it, it looks kind of fun. And again, this is something I just put in there. I don't even know if Sven knew it was from Smash Brothers, but he just, yeah, go for it. I don't think half the studio knows that I put this in like that. So, but it doesn't matter because it's just a little fun thing. It's pretty much for myself and people who play Smash Brothers. But the funny thing is, the day afterwards, we go look on Kotaku, and they actually picked up on it. So it's something that they could use to make a little headline. And maybe if we didn't put that in there, they wouldn't have bothered. But this is something that, yeah, attracted them and maybe also attracted. They thought like the community from their website would be attracted to. So this is something I really enjoy. We have this little creative influence, but it can also lead to something bigger, and that's just it's rewarding. And with that, I wanna maybe throw it over to our host again, and thank you for your attention.
You can. Thank you for your thorough and wide overview of all the aspects of making video games within your studios. I think you approached a lot of aspects: the educational, the competitive, the psychological, the technical, creative, cinematographic, interactive, animation, narrative, and fundraising and production things. So I came up with questions, but you answered them quite oftenly yourself. But there must be a marketing department within the studios. You test your games. Is it a complete creative, organic play, or is there some people within the studios with marketing knowledge that steer the creative process? Because we always have to deal with money, and it's business.
Yeah, I think I can. Hello. Hello? Yeah, I think I can answer that a little bit. Well, our marketing department isn't huge. We have me, and then we have one PR man who talks to all the press sites. Can I take this? Yeah. So he will do all the talking with the big press sites, and he will help. And if we make a trailer, he helps to spread it, make sure everyone who can get it gets it. And then it's also Sven who has his relationships, and then we have I think we have a company in the US called Evolve PR, and they also help spread the word. And so, but yeah, apart from that, it's not like we have a whole team of people in suits who try to sell the game. So.
That's right. Can I say a little?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You want to do it?
I don't know. No, it's true that we don't. The artistic direction and the creative direction is really done by us. It's not like, for instance, like Gameloft or Ubisoft. We don't have a legal department that checks on what we can do and what we cannot do. And there is no, how can I put that? We don't follow, like, for instance, the latest news from Hollywood or what's trendy at the moment. We're just, doing our thing, I guess. And this is why a lot of people didn't think that Divinity Original Sin would work, because this is a game that is, kind of a back to the roots, experience. But we kind of went all in, and it worked. This is pretty much how it is.
And back to basics. From Thierry, I know you have a classical animation education. Can you tell something about how you ended up in the game industry, and in what ways you were lacking things, in what ways you had to adjust? And maybe it's kind of recommendations for people who are interested in entering the the game industry.
Well, I'll do it like this also. So I didn't really feel that I lacked anything. I think I had a really good foundation. I studied at the Ritz here in Brussels. So all the animation techniques that they teach in our schools, it still applies to game animations. So in that manner, it's not different. So you still have to apply all the basic rules. So any education you can follow that teaches you those basics can help you on. I think what for me triggered the the motivation to go into games was my passion and my hobby, because I really love playing video games, and that's why I really started to dig out or dig into the industry to find a job that would pickle my interest or tickle my interest. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And the influences you all have, are they mainly by computer games you play, or are you also still influenced by classical animation, cinema?
Everything. From Pixar to anime. I'm a big fan of anime, so I get a lot of reference or cool ideas from our Japanese friends. Yeah, everything that moves.
And are there questions in the audience? I'll come with you, because no, you have to put it in the mic, then the translators can also hear what you want to ask and translate that into.
So my question is just about the amount of work that represent the development of such a game, because I've heard you're around 40 people, I think, in Larian Studio. Is it really 40 people, or are there some extra people, or where is the cost? What costs a lot of money, a lot of time to do landscape or videos or everything? I don't know. That's the question.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, sure, I'll answer that.
Yeah.
We are indeed a core team of 40 people. Sometimes we add to that with freelancers or outsourcers, but we really try to minimize that to only the point that it's really necessary, or that we know, like, we're not going to make our deadline. We really need to get some hired strength. But we try to do as much as everything costs efficiently, so that we can do it with a very dense team. It's also a lot easier to manage, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Does that answer your question? Oh, the exact pie chart, I don't know by heart. There is a lot of, there's a big chunk of money going to advertisement, I guess, to marketing. There's also voice acting is really expensive. So that's certainly not something to be underestimated. Original Sin that was released in June didn't have voice acting except for I think main quests or the main characters.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
But we are expanding on that. Also, like Dragon Commander, the cast was really expensive. That also made us aware that we needed to limit ourselves to a set of characters. Also, we would have liked to have the whole selection of being a male Dragon Commander and a female Dragon Commander, but that would just like really explode the whole budget. Yeah, sometimes you need to make decisions on things like voice acting. Yeah. I think for all the rest, I really have a difficult view on that. So, do you know something more about that?
Did you want to know about the work charge, like how much work it is, or more like how much it costs? Yeah, I think this is what you start with, the programming and coding, but just it's going to sound silly, but everything takes a lot of work. And we have the pre-production where you can like show up at work at like, I don't know, 10 and go home at like 6 and it's fine. And then where the closer you get to the end of production, the faster you put the assets into the game, you shove everything in, and the bigger the amount of overtime that you have to put in gets. So it's a lot of work for absolutely everyone, but just not at the same moment. As in, like, for instance, at some point, artists and animators, you know, they can start working on something else because, you know, we're pretty much done. But programmers, it's a living nightmare for them. And for and for designers such as myself, I have to debug what I do, so I will be there until the very end as well. So I don't know if I can give the figures of how much it costs or whatever, but like making a game like this is, well, literally like millions, and not a lot of millions, but you know, a bit of millions, and so yeah, a lot of work for everyone, just not simultaneously. Not everybody is overtiming like crazy at the same time. But everyone is at some point. I don't know, I hope this helps. Okay, cool.
Hold on, can you pass the mic to the hand over there, please?
Wow, cool. That's quite something.
Hi, yeah, it's working. Right, you talk about a lot of money and codes. I heard from one guy of Ubisoft, they are protecting their code by a strong encryption, which is changing every year. Are you using some sort of things to not to be
hacked,
copied by others?
I have no idea.
Are you talking about the DRM, the digital right management?
It's like protecting the code, protecting the source code of the game. Is that right, sir? Yeah.
No, sorry.
I guess we do, really. It would be it would be silly if we didn't. I don't know.
I honestly think we don't.
Oh, we don't?
I don't think we do.
I think.
Please don't hack us.
I don't know.
I don't think we are that protected.
Yeah, I think because people sometimes work from home as well, because some people they work a bit further and they don't always come in every day, and so they work from home, and I think they just take a build or take a build with them and work from that. So no, it's pretty open.
Hey, I just right.
Oh, sorry.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Over there.
I just want to ask about. I mean, you mentioned writers. Just wondering how. Where do they come? How did you get them? Where do they come from? Like, what sort of skills do they?
Where do we get the writers?
Yeah, I mean,
where do we get those guys?
No, I mean, just like how they. I mean, did they work all the way through production? Did they work at the beginning, or just?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, can I have this? Because it's like a yellow thing. I think our writers have a classical education, and then the rest is a bit. How can I put that? It's like being at the right place at the right moment. I think Sarah started with just rewriting dialogue as a freelancer, and then she was hired. I really don't have like a very clear answer to that for having worked as a writer myself. It can be it's a bit random if you're the right guy at the right time, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really depend on your education or your background. It's like, can you write this, in a given time? Our writers, yes, I think they have a more classical education, and our lead writer is very much into classical traditional literature. Then regarding the amount of work they have to put in, to be honest, our writers are here constantly, because at the beginning they have to, make the world, imagine it, create it. So they write that, and then they see with the boss if he likes it, and so on. And then they have to write all the dialogue, all the text, all the descriptions of all the spells and skills and then items. And then when they're done with all this, they have to help with the voice recording. So we send them to a studio, sometimes not always, but we would send them to a studio, and they would, like the guy that you saw during the video of Dragon Commander, one of them was Jan, our lead artist, the guy with the beard. And what? Lead writer, I'm sorry, the lead writer, of course. So they will be here until the very end to make sure that all the texts are in the game, that all the voices are proper. We have silly bugs like when you're playing a female character and she says something, and all of a sudden it's a male voice. And this happens. And we need the writers to actually check the proper implementation of the game. So they're going to be here from A to Z, really. That's it.
Also,
sorry.
Yeah, for like the hiring process, they do have to go through the process of like writing They send some samples, and then we will send them like a test, and then according to how well they do that, they will maybe have an interview and all that. So actually, I think we are in the process of hiring people as well as writers. So you should check Larian.com and then go to the jobs section and then see what needs to happen. But there's a lot of applications. It's really people send us applications every day. So it's a lot to go through, and it's a harsh process because we don't hire so many writers. We have 2 now, but we're looking to expand to I think 2 more.
2 more, yeah, we're looking for 2 more.
So yeah, if you are interested in that, go have a look.
But about being at the same place, at the right place at the right time, in a broader sense, do you have place for internships?
Yeah, we actually do. We take internships every year. So we also accept open applications. So if someone would like to do an internship and say during the months of July and August, feel free to send your resume, your work, introduce yourself, and who knows?
We have 12 at the moment, interns.
12?
Yeah.
I actually have a similar question. What about the musical aspects? Do you work with one in-house composer or several, or other freelancers? And also, it's kind of a second question. Do you closely work together? Does he have a lot of freedom, or do you really follow up what he's doing? Do you
guys want to answer that?
Communications.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
We have an in-house composer. That's Kirill Pokrovsky. Thank you. And we let him as free as he can. So as long as it's good music, which usually is. Yeah.
We do give some steering because he will compose something, and then for instance for Dragon Matter, it's the kind of music that was needed to be written. It needs to be like epic, but it can't have too many layers because you still have all the explosions and the sound effects on top of it. So for instance, he would make something really epic, but it sounded really good, but he had to take some layers away from it so it wouldn't be too much. But so he does all the music, and then our sound engineers would master it, so make it sound really 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 good. Yeah. He's now away though because he's been sick for a while. So but we hope he comes back quickly.
I can add on that if you allow me. Sure. We also had a freelancer for a while because there was a lot of work in the sound effects and post processing and everything. So we do have freelancers for sound, and also the little detail that I wanted to add is that at Larian Studios, Sven, the boss, is the creative director. And this is, of course, there are technical constraints and there's a general direction in which we want the music to go, but eventually Sven makes the call. And if Sven says, I am not impressed, then this is really how it works. The creative director likes it, then you're good. It doesn't, but I think this is very much like that. In a lot of companies, what I'm saying is Larian Studios is how can I put that? It's not a big company, so you don't have many layers of management above your head. You have just this one guy, and if this one guy likes it, then you're good. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did.
Actually, I have 2 questions for you. First is, where is situated your studio?
In Gand.
Okay, thank you. And the second, I've played to Echo Draconis, an original scene, and I really like the art and the mode of the game. So, is there any way to get an art book or stuff like this from the game?
The art book, we did have an art book for Original Sin, but I think it was Kickstarter related. Yeah, it was a Kickstarter reward. I'm not sure if we are planning on releasing the art book to the public or
it was a limited print.
Yeah, it was a limited print. And for Echo Draconis, I don't think there was ever an art book released. So I'm sorry I have to disappoint you with that.
Too bad.
One last burning question. farthest away. Where?
Yeah, thank you. It's a question for Edouard about the difficulty management.
Sure.
When you said that you have to gauge the challenge so that the player doesn't get frustrated. But
Absolutely.
there are some games that have a different approach of it and that are really hard.
Dark Souls.
Yeah,
You're
Dark
thinking
Souls
about Dark Souls.
I was thinking of Super Meat Boy 2.
Yeah, sure.
And are you interested in someday making, well, taking this approach to make a really, really difficult game?
As Larian Studios, you mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. To be honest, again, I'm sorry to disappoint. I wouldn't know. This is not my call to make, as I'm sure you will understand. Maybe. I don't know. I don't. To be honest, I can tell you what I know. To be honest, I don't think so, because we are, of course, targeting a niche of players, and these people are the turn-based role-playing games. I believe. I don't know if it would work, as in like Dark Souls or Super Meat Boy or what is it? I Want to Be the Guy and this sort of games. I don't know if they would fit very well with this core target that we are aiming at. Now, again, this is only my personal, opinion, and this is not my call to make. Maybe someday our boss Sven will think that maybe we can give it a shot. At the moment, I wouldn't know. So I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The latest.
Hello. I had a question for you. As game.
I know it's horrible.
Yeah. As game producer, how do you deal and how do you feel with piracy? No, not saying that I do that, but how
I don't know who wants to answer this.
I can start. We have we have a no DRM policy on our games because we don't want to make it too hard for people to just go start and play the game. Like if you buy it on Steam and you copy your files and folders to your USB drive, you can just play like that. That's our approach to that. Piracy, yeah, okay, it happens for sure, but I think we believe if you make a really good product, then people will support it. I mean, you will always have those people, and I mean, that's okay actually in a way, because maybe if you didn't have that, and some people might have never played it, and maybe those people will then spread the word again, and then that will lead to other people actually buying the game. And I mean, there's tons of sales on Steam. I mean, it will be 5 cents in a few years probably, so they'll buy it. I think so.
All right, thank you.
I'm good. I think you nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's time to wrap up. Yeah, but we have to stop. Maybe there is a time afterwards. You can. Will you be approached afterwards?
Yeah, sure.
Because
if they want to stick around,
up.
some of us can stick around, or all of us.
We're not going anywhere.
So there's personal contact still possible for the latest questions. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would I kindly like to remind you of 3 workshops taking place this afternoon. They are for free. At 3, 5 and 7 o'clock you can make your animated sequence by tutorship of surdoués. And these animated sequences will be part of the Animeernacht tomorrow night. So feel free to adjust. Thank you and have a wonderful festival. A nice day. Thank you.